What's going on, everybody? It's your host, Wayne's World, and we are back with episode 9. And I'm going to give my thoughts on toxic relationships. My definition of a toxic relationship is basically two people who cannot seem to let each other go no matter how messed up or twisted the relationship can get. I myself has been in many of toxic relationships, and sometimes I ask myself, why do people stay in it? I've learned from my mistakes, and I learned to make sure I never put myself in that predicament to be in a toxic relationship again. If anyone out there, if you're in a relationship where you can see the red flags, you can see that you're being used, your heart is being played with, but this person seems to be too hard for you to let go. Maybe you're afraid you won't meet nobody else. Maybe you feel like this is the best you can do. Trust me, get out of that relationship fast. Women, if you see that this man uses you, sometimes abuses you, takes your car, that you don't let you do anything, you can't leave the house, you can't do this, you can't do that, you guys are constantly arguing, he starts fights. Basically, you feel like he's using you. Get out of that relationship. There's much more out there for you to see. The reason I feel a lot of toxic relationships start and continue is because we get in situationships. People may hook up for a one night stand and then boom, pregnancy happens. Now you're forced into a relationship where you don't even know the person. So now as you guys are together, you start to notice things about each other that just ticks you the hell off. Someone may snore too loud. Just for an example. The little things like that might really bother you. Someone might chew with their mouth open. Just the little things tick you off to a point where even bigger things will set your alarm ringing. Fellas, it goes for us too. And as I stated, I've been in a toxic relationship before, and trust me, I was not the toxic one. I took all the blows and all the damage that was mentally and physically done to me. And for some reason, I couldn't seem to want to leave. And at that time, you can say that I was probably so obsessed over this person and not really looking at the within. I noticed that this person is not right for me. Sometimes kids can force a toxic relationship. As I stated before, pregnancy. You may tell yourself you want to leave out the relationship and can't because you may not want to seem the person type of excuse me, you may not want to seem like the type of person who will walk away from a kid. And in reality, we have that mentality misconstrued. Because at the end of the day, you can walk away from the relationship and not have to worry about walking out on the kid. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes, fellas, we can be scared to leave. There's a lot of women out here who do put fear in men. But if that's the case, shit, here's my advice. Move out. One outfit at a time. One pair of shoes at a time. Eventually, your closet gets lower and lower, smaller and smaller, until all your shit is out, and then boom, you're gone. Move on. With toxic relationships, there's a lot of love hate going because you argue so much to a point where you freely can tell each other you hate one another. And hate is a very strong word, but once that word comes out and you continue to stay together, how healthy is that? Because a very toxic relationship can really break you down mentally. And it can begin to affect your health. And trust me, mental health is a very, very well alive thing. Say it that way, simplest terms I can put it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to denormalize toxic relationships. Sometimes we just have to take a step back, rethink the one night stands, or at least use protection if you're going to use a one night, if you're going to be a one night stand. But find a way to take a step back and get to learn everything you possibly can about one another. Make sure both parties bring something specific and different to the table that you both can eat off of. Something that you can feed each other with. Because many arguments can start with one person doing all of the work, working, coming home, cleaning, cooking, running this errand, that errand, and the other spouse is basically just coasting along, man or woman. And sometimes guilt can play a part in why you can possibly stay with someone who really isn't on the same level as you or bringing anything different to the table that you can eat from. So be wise in who you choose to deal with because a toxic relationship is very unhealthy, and the amount of toxic relationship cases are rising more and more and more because we are not taking the time to learn each other. We are being forced into situationships instead of building relationships. This is episode 9. These are my thoughts on toxic relationships. Let's normalize regular, healthy, and loving relationships. And we'll be back with an episode 10 very soon. I would like to give a thank you to all of my followers and everyone who subscribes and interacts with this channel. You are greatly appreciated. I will continue to bring more and more content. We will soon be doing day-to-day interviews with people and their opinions on the topics we discuss about on this podcast. So continue to listen and enjoy, and we'll be back with an episode 10. Thank you and good night.